This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Welcome to the era of neater, boo-boo. This is Wretched Radio. How do we live in a world where we do not have objective morals and actually get along? And the answer to that question is, I don't think we can, frankly, because you will have somebody in charge. It will either be God and the influence of the Bible, or it will be human beings. You cannot live in a world where there is not an authority. To live in a world without a leader, if you will, whether political, military, philosophical, religious, somebody will fill that void. It is inevitable. You cannot live in any semblance of order without having an orderer. The only question, of course, is who's that going to be? Historically, in America, we have submitted to the notion of under God. And while we have not been an explicitly Christian nation in that it is the official religion of our country, it has been the predominant worldview that has led our thinking, more than even liberals would like to admit. Family values, the institution of marriage, it's the bedrock of society. Honesty, integrity, sacrifice, hard work, a gratefulness to God for a nation that allows us to have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom to carry arms. Those have been historically the way that we have viewed the way a society best functions, by submitting as best we can to how God would have us live. Even as we have not been an explicitly Christian nation, the men and women who have gone to Washington have brought those ideals, whether they realized in a Christian package or not. They delivered their worldview, which is predominantly informed with some basic values. Basic values are being removed. And you now have a vying for, in this country, you're watching this, you have got a front row seat. If you've ever gone to a concert and thought, wouldn't it be cool to be way up there? Well, you're way up there right now, in history's front row, watching a nation radically change. And this is of Christian interest because it's changing from one of predominantly biblical ideals to secular. You're watching it. You are living in 1789 France, hopefully without the guillotine and the Bastille, hopefully, although James Coates might suggest otherwise. Nevertheless, you've got a front row seat and you're watching it happen right in front of you. And how are we going to ultimately land? The answer is, I don't know. I don't know, but we are going to land. Where we land, but the fact that we're going to land is undeniable. The New York Times has written an article. This is an op-ed piece called "The Campaign to Cancel Wokeness." Now, be careful, Christian. This is going to get up your nose. And this is a bit of a challenge for us. And it's going to cause us to think through how we communicate to our current crumbling world. The Campaign to Cancel Wokeness basically is an accusation that people who are opposed to CRT, critical theory, are trying to cancel critical theory, the very thing that they claim critical theorists do. Are they right? Here's what you've got. You've got people saying critical theory is bad. From the Christian perspective, it's bad because it's unbiblical. From a cultural standpoint, I believe it's bad because it divides people. It tears down anything that is good under the guise of we'll make things better, even though we haven't defined what that is, because currently it's all bad because it was all racist. And so I think that it is going to tear down anything good that has been American. In the church, it's going to do the same thing. I can almost promise you. Everything that you see critical theory doing in culture, it will do in the church. Everything, including how you interpret your Bible. Because the only interpreters of the Bible who can get it right are those people who have been oppressed. That's right. Forget seminary. Forget language training. Forget your knowledge of Greek and Hebrew. Forget the fact that you have studied the context of every book in the Bible. You're not equipped to understand the Bible rightly unless you've been oppressed. That's coming. That's already coming in to the church. That's being introduced into seminaries as we speak. Hence the dangers of critical theory. So our culture is bringing critical theory in government, education, literature, arts, commerce, everything. And it is about canceling, destroying, tearing down anything that was built because it was built on a foundation of oppression and racism. That's critical theory. And we're saying that's bad. And we, therefore, don't want critical theory in our churches or in our culture. And now this New York Times article is shooting back and saying, aren't you doing the same thing? You're saying that we shouldn't cancel stuff, but don't you want to cancel critical theory? Oh, man, Scylla. How do you respond to that? Are they right? Well, yeah, no, yeah. Who tosses the coin on this one? Because on the face of it, they're right. Hey, you don't like critical theory because it cancels, so you want to cancel critical theory. Hey, aren't you being a little double-minded? And haven't we pointed that out to liberals in the past? You say that you don't like laws on your body, and yet you now are making laws on people's body. And here's another one that I've seen lately that's been like a shooting back and forth. The woman who was nominated for whatever the cabinet position was, she had to drop out because her tweets were nasty. And now the liberals are saying, but wait a second, you're okay with the nasty tweets of Orange Man. Aren't you being double-minded? And here we are at loggerheads with fellow citizens because you do this and you do that. And your that is just like this. And on the surface of this New York Times article, the person who wrote this is correct. Unless what? Let's make our way through the article. Around America, even overseas, people who don't like cancel culture are on the ironic quest to cancel the promotion of critical race theory in public forums. See what the author did there? You don't like canceling, so you want to cancel the cancel culture. Ha! You can't do that. In September, Donald Trump's Office of Management and Budget ordered federal agencies to begin to identify all contracts or other agency spending related to any training on critical race theory, which it described as an un-American propaganda. See the setup coming? A month later, the conservative government in Britain declared some uses of critical race theory in education illegal. A month later, the conservative government in Britain has canceled cancel culture in some forms. See? You're doing the very same thing. Some in France took up the fight as well. French politicians, high-profile intellectuals, and journalists are warning that progressive American ideas, specifically on race, gender, post-colonialism, are undermining their society in France. So France is worried about it, but they're trying to do the very thing that they're saying they don't like. So you can't do that, therefore leave critical theory alone, and we're going to keep canceling you because you can't cancel us. Because to cancel us would be to cancel the thing that you're trying to cancel, which is the cancel culture. Parts of the critical race theory tradition are in tension with liberalism. Don't think the liberal party or liberal politics, the idea of freedom, free speech, etc., particularly when it comes to issues like free speech. Richard Delgado, a key figure in the movement, has argued that people should be able to sue those who utter racist slurs. So now this article has got you caught in a trap, man. And how do you get out of this? How do you resolve this tension? Because you can't just throw down, but we're right. Of course cancel culture is terrible. So we can cancel culture because cancel culture is so bad. And they are just going to shoot back and go, neater, boo-boo. You're doing the exact same thing. Unless there is a judge. There is an arbiter. There is a higher standard. there is an authority that can determine what is actually good and what is actually bad and how we're supposed to run the playbook. And that is exactly where we are today. In America, anything Christian, anything biblical has been thrown out, and we are now living in a world of says who. It is the secular humanist worldview that is now dominating, and you are seeing the problem with it. You can't point out things that are wrong because there is no source of right or wrong except themselves. And so they are going to get to write the playbook. When you've got a vacuum of power, somebody is going to fill it. And right now, secular humanism is filling it. And you and I don't like it, and we see the problems with it. But until there is somebody else that is acting as the judge of the culture, this is the world that we are going to be living in, a neater, boo-boo world that is going to be increasingly frustrating and ungodly, which is why we do well to ask ourselves the question, is there a remedy for this problem? And the Bible gives a solution. Preach the gospel. This is Wretched Radio. Thank you for calling technical support. This is Todd Friel, the wretch the song refers to. Could I possibly put you on hold for a moment?
Todd, we have talked about this. You cannot answer the phone this way.
Righto. Thank you for calling technical support. This is Todd Friel, the wretch the song refers to.